Hi, everybody. Welcome to Women Seeking Wholeness. This is Cherie Burton. And as I always say, this is a podcast for women who long to feel, express, and be who they truly are. This is episode 99, and I absolutely loved the energy behind this discussion and the drive and the shine and sparkle. That's the only way I can put it. Pattie is really, really experienced. She brings a wealth of maturity to the discussion around confidence and how quiet women never changed history. So a couple questions to ask you out of the gate. What are you doing when no one is watching? And I'm not talking about the stuff like your guilty pleasures. I'm talking about what do you truly love to do and wish you could do more of? She says these are the questions you have to craft your life around. So she comes in as an author, trainer, coach, and speaker who's interviewed over 3,000 women to crack the code on confidence. And through that process, she's discovered that women need to experience being valuable, visible, and vocal. So we're going to go deep into that. And also the 5 secrets of successful women. You can actually get her book, Quiet Women Never Changed History, Be Strong, Stand Up, and Stand Out for only $10. Normally sells on Amazon for $18.95. Plus you get free shipping and handling and about, I think she said $200 in free bonuses. So you can go to womenkickingGlass.com/book. So it's kind of fun. Her book cover has a red high heel stepping on glass and breaking it. Super cool. womenkickingGlass.com/book. Grab that. I wanted to just give you that go ahead at the onset before we even launch a discussion because you're going to want that book. Next week is the 100th episode. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to bring you the content for next week and also come back into Women Seeking Wholeness Facebook group so you can see the giveaways. I'm giving away a couple coaching sessions and an entrance into my Stand, Speak, Shine school for 2021. Pattie, welcome to Women Seeking Wholeness. I'm so grateful that I know we had a little bobble with our schedules and, that can be a little crazy, but I'm glad we can make it work today. And I know that this is actually going to air right before Christmas. I don't know if I mentioned that to you. So we can keep, keeping that in mind. Most people won't be listening, maybe as many live, but for sure catching the recording, and it'll be during the holiday season. And it's always a time where we're coming into that new year, especially coming out of 2020 and, oh boy, what we got hit with this year, right?
Oh, absolutely insane.
So this is a perfect time to have this conversation on success and confidence and kind of what that means and how you've deepened into that through your life experience and what you've walked through. So let's start there. Everyone has a descent and an ascent process. Otherwise,
yes,
it kind of qualifies you for the work, so to speak. So take us through a little of your history with how you got to what you're teaching now.
I can tell you, I honestly have run and walked 1,000 miles in the same high heels or shoes that your women listeners have walked or been in. I started out my career with a rocket. I graduated from college and started out in banking as a part-time teller. By the time I was 28, I was one of the youngest female vice presidents for a big California bank. I actually left that really successful job, and my father thought I was crazy because here I'm a VP for a big bank at a young age, and how could I leave this secure job? And I started my own company the first time, and that was all about empowering companies and organizations to be high-performance organizations. So I did a lot of consulting and training work. In 1998, I got hired by Microsoft, and I really landed my dream job. I was there for 15 years. And I had 14 amazing years. I mean, I traveled the world. Every place on your bucket list, I probably have been to. Australia, Thailand, China, India, any place you can imagine, all over Latin America. And I had this huge global job, traveling the world, was on the Executive Potential Program. And then I had that ascent, right? I was at that corporate ladder. I was on that Executive Potential Program. And I literally fell so hard that I found myself sitting on my bathroom floor in a combination of tears and sweat, trying to get the energy to get up to go to work to the job that I loved. I was so far down. I had seen doctors and nurses and nurse practitioners, and I had one doctor tell me if I didn't pick myself up and take care of myself, I'd be dead in 6 months. So that moment really inspired me. Now, I stayed with Microsoft for a period of time, and then I left them and started my own consulting and training company, which right now I'm focused on empowering women and girls to be the best they can be in any endeavor they choose. And that moment of laying on that bathroom floor really inspired me to fight my way back up, to find myself again. What I'd lost was sense of myself and who I was, and I was trying to be everything else to everybody else. I was the positive Pattie that came in every day and cheered everybody up in the workplace, but inside I was dying, literally dying from the inside. I was imploding, and I had to find my way back. And so that really inspired me to spend the 3 years I did in interviewing over 3,200 people to find out what makes that strong, confident woman leader. I wanted to help other women either avoid the kind of fall I had or catch themselves sooner before they're laying on their bathroom floor.
I've laid on that bathroom floor, sister. Like I've been there. So that's the descent, right? It's like it levels you. And we don't celebrate it enough.
And we don't learn from it enough.
The portal to everything shifting in your favor for your highest good. But so having somebody on the floor with you, metaphorically or literally, to me, that's where you find your higher self. You recognize that you can't get much lower, and that it's going to have to be your higher self that goes into the driver's seat from here forward. And
absolutely, and a lot of women are facing that right now. A new study came out from McKinsey and Lean In about 2 weeks ago that says 1 in 4 women, so 25% of the women, are either considering downsizing their career or leaving the workplace because of COVID stress. And they are so far down. They're homeschooling, they're sharing the office with the entire family, they're sharing their home with their entire family 24/7. And they've got to that rock bottom moment, and they need to be able to help themselves, pull themselves back up again and find the real self. Because I think what happens to too many of us is we try and be everything to everybody, and we're nothing to ourselves.
Yeah. And, we're kind of coming at this from a business standpoint, but, there's a lot of women listening who aren't necessarily like entrepreneurial or whatever, or didn't ever think that they would be or whatever until this world planetary shift. And it's sort of like, oh, massive displacement, massive transition. What's next for me? I was in a comfortable space and I'm not anymore. And how do I redefine? We've had a few episodes on like, how do you redefine yourself with your soul path and your mission? And maybe it is a business. Maybe it is an entrepreneurial pursuit. Maybe you are in a corporate space, or maybe you're a stay-at-home mom and you feel the call to step into a new role. And it's like, women are really, that's happening en masse.
Yeah. And this whole event, I'm hoping, has given us the strength and the tenacity, the resiliency, kind of the new hot words are resiliency and emotional agility and grit, and given us the ability to observe the world, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and to learn from all of it, right? One of the women I interviewed for my book was a woman named Colonel Deb Lewis, who was one of the first women to attend West Point and graduate from West Point. They just celebrated their 40th anniversary. And she taught me this thing called an after action review, which you can use in work and life with your kids, to really ask yourself, when something doesn't go well, when you're struggling with all the things you're struggling with, ask yourself what's happening. Take some time to just sort of stand back and almost observe it from an outside view and go, wow, that's interesting. That just happened today. And then what did you learn from it? And if it didn't go well, what would you do differently next time to have a different result? If it did go well, what would you do again to get the same or a better result? So it's that emotional agility. There's a wonderful YouTube by a woman named Dr. Susan David. So it's Davie, Dr. Susan David, on emotional agility and her life work around the ability to look at the world with your eyes wide open. And not always try and push all the negative stuff down, but to sort of stand back and observe it and say, wow, that's interesting. I wonder what I could learn from this.
So and that I love that. That's from a more mystical, spiritual context. It's like holding paradox or not spiritually bypassing. Like we just want to gloss right over, and make it about unicorns, puppies, and sunshine, love, light, and joy when it's not.
It's not. And one of the things she says one of the things she says that I love is that if you want your life to be full of unicorns and happiness and balloons and rainbows, that you have dead people's goals. Because basically your life is flat. You have no ups and you have no downs. Yeah. We should celebrate those ups and celebrate those downs. And that's some of what I learned from my research with interviewing all these men and women about what makes great women leaders. Mm-hmm. The great women leaders really do play to their strengths. They know what their strengths are, and they've either taken a DISC profile, a DISC profile, or Strength Finder, or they figured out what brings them joy, what makes them happy, what do they find themselves doing when nobody's watching, and then they try and craft their life. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom, a volunteer, or a corporate person, try and craft your life around finding opportunities that fits those strengths so you can be more productive. You're happier, you have less stress.
I love it. I'm obsessed with that stuff, like the Enneagram, the Strengths Finder test, getting your astrology chart done. I've done these kinds of, my background is in psych anyway, so I love personality profiling, but even just having that knowledge of why you do what you do is so affirming.
Yeah.
And it literally awakens you to come inside. And you used some verbiage about stepping back when you talked about the emotional agility, just stepping back and assessing. And that's a very feminine energy way. It's a very feminine way of being, is to sit back. I call it like sitting on your throne, like, wait a second, inner goddess sitting back on her throne, observing and noticing.
I love that.
I want to climb into, because you have some amazing, first of all, we're going to define success in our own ways. And then I want you to share with our listeners these 5 secrets of successful women, because this whole thing is about not being quiet, being who you are. This is how we change history. And your book is called Quiet Women Never Change History, which I love. It's got like a red high heel, just so the listeners know, it has like a red high heel, like smashing like glass or something.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's Quiet Women Never Change History. Be strong, stand up, stand out. And the subtitle is Let's Go Kick Some Glass, which we still have to click that damn glass ceiling.
It's so funny because I have a Stand, Speak, Shine school, and it's very, very similar to what your byline is.
I saw that.
Yeah. So we're really aligned that way. But how do you define success? What does that mean to you?
Success to me means that you are doing what you love. And you really have to know your why to know what that is. So the first principle in the book is be strong and know what your strengths are. The second one is to stand up. In order to stand up, you need something to stand on. You need a personal leadership vision. And I'll give you a couple hints of how you can write your personal leadership vision. And if people email me, I'll send them a guide how to actually create their personal leadership vision for free. But in essence, it's taking the opportunity to say, who am I and what do I stand for? If you want to buy a house and you want to remodel the house, you still need a foundation. So your personal vision is your foundation that you stand up on that defines success for you. Not what somebody else thinks successful is. For my dad, successful would have been staying at that bank for 45 years and retiring at the age 65 or 70, as some big person in the big bank. That wasn't the job for me. Mm-hmm. When my manager came to me at one point and said, what job would you like to have? I said, none of them. Mm-hmm. And basically I quit and they hired me back as a consultant doing my old job. But, it's finding that success for yourself. And so think about the kind of person you want to be and imagine you're on your favorite TV show, right? Mine used to be Oprah. Now it's the Ellen Show. But imagining yourself sitting on that favorite show with all your friends and family, your coworkers, your bosses, people who've known you all your life. And you close your eyes and these people are talking about you as being that great, strong, confident woman leader. What are the words they're saying about you? For me, it was making a difference. And that kept coming up. Make a difference. Credible, integrity, compassionate, passionate, energizing, inspirational. All these words kept coming up. And this is what pulled me out of that rock bottom moment. Pulled me up was refinding my vision again, because that's what I had lost in that ascend and descend phase. And then spend a couple of days and write down all these words and then create a statement about between 3 and 12 to 16 words, no more than 16 words. So my personal vision and how I define success and the clients I work with is whether or not I can make a difference. Mm-hmm. And empower women and girls to be the best I can be is sort of the longer version. So that's the second one, is being able to stand up by having a personal leadership vision that defines success for you.
I love, love, love. Okay, that was beautiful. I think success is so subjective. It's so sacred to each person. And a lot of it really does come back to figuring out, like you said, who you are. Because if you know who you are and what you truly like, your core values, and I'm not talking about moral values, I'm talking about what does your soul actually value? What speaks to you, what sings to you, what calls to you. And instead of pandering to what, everyone else whatever else is telling you should want for you.
Yeah. They're trying to make you be that square peg in the round hole, or vice versa, whichever is the correct way of saying it. Maybe it's the round peg in the square hole, or whatever.
I totally get it. So yeah, these secrets, let's dive in.
So number 3, so first one was be strong. So know what your strengths are, play to your strength. The second one is stand up and develop a personal leadership vision that you can use to guide your own success. Number 3 is about stand out. I want women to be more valuable, be more visible, and be more vocal. So whatever your strengths are, whatever your vision is, become so valuable at that. Take some workshops or classes, watch YouTube videos. I've been speaking and doing workshops and presentations for 25 years. And I still watch YouTube videos or listen or watch presentations or go to conferences to fine tune my craft so I become more valuable to people, right? And then become more vocal and more visible. I want you to get comfortable saying, I did this. Mm-hmm. And I want you to also to stop apologizing and saying, I'm sorry, or I'm just a stay-at-home mom. I'm just a technical person. I'm just this. Get rid of the just onlys. I'm only a blank. I'm just a blank. I want you to stand out, be visible, be valuable, be vocal. And I want you to stand up for yourself. So if someone gives you a compliment, many times most women will either say, this old thing, I could have done better. So we degrade ourselves and we take the compliment away from somebody who'd given it to us. Or we'll say, well, my team did this. Well, no, I want you to learn to say my team and I did this. Or I gathered my team together and here's the decision that we've come to, or that I've come to based on their feedback. So you're still being inclusive of your people or the team, or if say you're running a volunteer event and you've got a whole bunch of great volunteers, you can definitely recognize them, but to also get yourself in the equation too. Raise your hand and speak up.
Yeah, I love it. And what's interesting? What are those 3 fees again? I'm super, I love them. Be
valuable, be visible, be vocal. So in these Zoom meetings, I want you to take a few minutes, put something, you only have to dress from the waist up. Put your camera on, get on the camera ahead of time, make sure that your picture is big. And I want you to show that confidence, because confidence first shows in height and in depth. So if you're this little teeny person in the Zoom video, or you're the little teeny person in the corner, that doesn't show confidence to people. And if you try and say something, they're not going to hear you. You need to use your voice to speak your truth and be able to be visible, valuable, and vocal. So show up. Put on a little bit of makeup. It's kind of fun once in a while.
Yeah. Well, I love it. So what are our last ones? The number 4 is put yourself number 1 on your things to do list. Put yourself number 1 on your things to do list. Which is so hard for women to do.
It's so hard. It's so hard. We try and be, Helen Redding from I Am Woman just passed away. And her song about how I can fry up the bacon and I can take care of the house and I can do all this thing. I'm sorry, that's baloney.
Yeah.
We can't do it all. We have to give up on perfectionism. The number 1 thing we can do to help women crack the confidence code is give up on trying to be flippin' perfect. Mm-hmm. Perfectionism starts when we're little girls and we need to be the good girl and get the good grades and go to the good school and have the good friends and don't say anything bad. We're programmed from the time we're little girls to try and be perfect, and you can't.
No.
And it literally will kill you. And here's the definition of perfectionism that makes it so damaging. It's a personality trait characterized by overly high expectation, being overly self-critical, and caring too much about what people think. And that prevents women from going for the jobs or the careers or the opportunities and things they love because they think, I'm not good enough. Mm-hmm. And you have to learn to be your great self. Once a week or once every so often, just take out a piece of paper and say, I'm really good at this. This is what I love doing. Here's the characteristics of myself that I love. Very hard to do, but you can't pour from an empty teacup.
Right.
I heard the other day, you can't jumpstart a car with a dead battery. So if you're a dead battery, you can't help your kids or your team or your family.
Exactly. It's that whole, put the oxygen mask in front of you or nobody's surviving.
Yes, exactly. Right. I do that. I use that one all the time too. It's sort of like eat, pray, love. Literally book time on your calendar to go take a walk outside and get some fresh air and nature. Go outside and garden, go bake, right? I live in Palm Springs area, so out in the Coachella Valley. And there was a time during the middle of the COVID crisis around March where you could not find flour or yeast or any cooking, baking thing anywhere out of 17 stores in the valley. You couldn't find anything. I finally found one thing of yeast, like a 10-pound thing of yeast at some big, huge baking store. So I got a lot of bread to make because I got a whole lot of yeast. So do something that brings you joy. Eat, pray, love, exercise, hug your kids, walk your dog, put breaks in your day.
I always tell people it's about living sensually, not sexually necessarily.
Sensually. I love
filling
that.
up your senses. That's how you feel the aliveness of your being. That's how you live with joy in your own way.
Yeah.
And you strike me as someone super extroverted and it's, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but you just have such a powerful presence about you. So I'm just wondering, is it easier for you? It's not ever easy for anyone ever, no matter how extroverted or confident, to speak up. And I think but I'm just wondering if you had somebody in front of you who was more timid maybe, or more on the introverted side, maybe they're working through their own trauma and that kind of thing. What would you say to a woman who, I know what I would say.
Yeah. One thing I'd recommend they do is they go look for a YouTube video, and I don't remember the woman's name, and I apologize to this wonderful woman, called The Power of the Introverts. The thing is that extroversion and introversion is not necessarily a personality thing. It's where people get their energy. If you're an extrovert, you get your energy from outside, from talking through things, many times people will say I'm brainstorming, but they think I'm telling them what to do. And I think I'm brainstorming because I'm just talking out loud. Introverts get their energy inside, from the inside. So they reflect and they think, and then they come out. Usually the introverts have the right answer, but they can't get their voice heard. So what I tell introverts to do is think about something you are really love doing and you're good at doing. And if somebody asks you about that, you have all the confidence in the world. So if you're going to be, say you're going to be attending a meeting, ask for the agenda ahead of time so you know what the topics are. So you have a chance to inwardly think about what gives you energy, and then prepare something that's going to be something that you want to present, and use less words. You don't have extroverts. We talk, then we think. Introverts think, then they talk. And just sometimes be willing to say, raise your hand and I've got a point of view I want to make. And just learn to, again, that confidence shows in your body first. The body language is so powerful that shows in how you stand, how you sit. The old power pose that you stand with your feet shoulder width apart, your hands on your hips, your head up with your head over your shoulders, so that you look confident and you can speak with confidence, and just prepare your thoughts in advance.
Yeah, I love that. And some people do, they think it comes right out, and others are just, it's like the strong silent type. There's a lot happening underneath. Cool. Well, that's amazing. So we got it. So be strong and then stand up and have a vision, create a leadership vision and stand out with those valuable, visible, vocal pieces. Put yourself number one on the to-do list, and then
pay it forward.
Pay it forward.
Pay it forward. I want you to collaborate with other women, not compete. I want you to support, not sabotage. And so that's things like, if a woman is in a meeting and you're in a meeting and say something that doesn't get heard, I should be a person in that room that says, wait a minute. I think what she said was brilliant. I think we need to explore this concept, especially if someone's an introvert. You draw those people out. It looks like, let's make sure we get everybody's opinion here and draw those individuals out, but pay it forward. I want to leave this world a better place for our children and our grandchildren. And right now, women are in a crisis where those 1 in 4 women are thinking of leaving the workplace. So we need to leave this world a better place with more women and having amazing, compassionate boys that respect women and treat them with dignity and the respect that they deserve. So pay it forward.
Wow. Yeah. And that's just a spiritual law of the universe, that the more, what is it like? The more you appreciate, when you appreciate something, it appreciates, or something like that. Yeah. What you appreciate appreciates. That's what it is.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly it. And that what if you give something, you're going to get something in return. And, this isn't a zero-sum game. This is life. Right? This isn't a win, you lose. This is, how do we help all women rise up? I have a quote that I had posted on my Facebook page that was a picture of a woman with a crown. And it says, another woman straightens, a strong woman straightens another woman's crown without telling her it's crooked. Now, here's my proud story, my proud mother, grandmother story. So my daughter has a little baby. And her name is Avery, and she's now 9 months old. And my granddaughter really got into this contest with these big bows, these beautiful big bows, and amazing photography. And it's a contest they do with these little babies with these beautiful big bows. The other day, Taylor, my granddaughter, posted this picture that said, a strong woman straightens another girl's bow without telling her it's crooked. And it's a picture of Avery straightening the bow of one of her little girlfriends at 9 months old. I mean, I was so proud.
Oh, that's so sweet. Okay. Well, with this whole confidence conversation, I think this is another thing, alongside success, that can be misconstrued, or maybe, maybe be too masculinized. I don't know. How do you see confidence? When you see how would you know that with your lens, you're looking in your perspective that you're looking at through the world? How do you gauge whether a person is confident or not?
Whether they can,
how do they manifest that confidence? What does that look like to you when you're like, oh, she's confident or she's not?
Well, the first thing was, as I said earlier, you see is the visible. The first thing you see is how they stand, how they sit, how they present themselves. That shows confidence. And many times people underneath, they may look really confident, but underneath there's still that little girl wondering if I'm good enough, right? And so I think confidence shows first physically in your body, and it also shows with how you present yourself and your ideas. It's saying things like, this is what I think we should do, not, well, I'm not sure, or how about this, or what about that? So it's being confident in your beliefs and being able to stand up for what you believe in. Confidence also is something that they say sometimes you can fake it till you make it. Mm-hmm. And you just show that you're confident, and underneath, it's like the duck on the water. You see a duck on the water, they look really calm and really confident, and they're just floating along, but underneath they're paddling like hell. If I can say that on your show, they're just trying to stay afloat.
Say hell on my show.
But I think if you could probably look at the most confident woman person in the world, and I'll just pick Jennifer Lopez as one. You could pick anybody, and I guarantee you there are days that her confidence isn't that strong, and she probably is walking on stage wondering, "Wow, can I really do this?" And then pat yourself on the back when something goes really well. So, confidence also is something that you can be confident, not cocky. You can be bold, not bossy. So sometimes what happens to women when they show too much confidence and they try and be too masculine, they lose the benefit of being a woman leader, having that compassion, having that sixth sense. You talk about sensories. You have that sixth sense. One of the people I interviewed told me that women leaders see around the corners. They can see things going on around them that many men don't see. A man's in a meeting, he runs the agenda, he gets done with the meeting, says that was great, but he didn't realize that nobody bought into his idea. Mm-hmm. Where the woman will notice that and will bring that feminine part of leadership and compassion and strength. And you don't have to try and be like a man to be confident. Show up as your own confident yourself. Stand up for what you believe in if you're confident about something. Mm-hmm. And be willing to know that, you can be assertive or you can be aggressive. And there's actually this thing called the double bind paradox for women. As men rise up the ranks, they gain likability and respect. And many times women rise up the ranks and they lose likability and respect. And they actually become more suspect. And I think that's when women try and be like a man. You don't need to be like a man.
Right.
I want you to be a woman leader.
Exactly. I love that. And I have experienced some of that fallout as I've grown my business internationally and traveled with children at home, and my husband and I kind of navigating that. It's like nobody ever goes up to a man when they're fully into their career and says, how are you balancing all of this with fatherhood?
I know it.
How do you do it all?
You see something on TV, like there was on TV a while ago about the guy who was interviewing for a job, and the little kid comes in and the mom comes in and tries to pull the little kid out. She's on the ground, and everybody goes, "Oh, isn't that cute?" And then you've got a woman on a Zoom meeting or in one of those calls or something, and you see the kids come out and they go, "Well, how is she balancing it all?" And I've seen it recently, especially in some of the political stuff too. And I'm not going to get political whatsoever, but they'll criticize for how a woman candidate dresses, but they never criticize the man, or that her hair doesn't look right. But we have to realize that be who you are, be the woman you want to be, have that confidence, but you don't need to be cocky and a bully. A bully's a bully, a bully. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. If you're a bully, you're a bully. And you're doing that at the expense of others. Or being
There's
assertive.
lots of ways to manipulate that power that women naturally have a magnetism and a power and can source a lot of, because we do see the whole picture and we do have that heightened intuition. We can use that in a manipulative way. Yes. And the brain science research that shows how men and women's brain patterns think differently is that men tend to think in compartments, like in one section at a time. And so they're programmed that way, where women, when you watch their brains on a brain scan, it will go left, right, front, back. You use all parts of your brain. And we try and balance that out. Yeah, my husband and I joke about this because, when we're in the car and he's driving and I'm in the driver's seat, everything's coming at me. Like I'm literally afraid for our lives, and he can just see the narrow path of like how to weave in and out. And it's like, and I talk to my other friends and they say the same thing. It's like, wow, we see we are in sensory overload a lot of the times, and men don't have that. They can just get into that tunnel. Laser focus.
I joke about my husband
too. Do that as women too. We can jump into that masculine, laser focus if we need to, but
it's a lot more fun to be able to go back and forth and play around. I joke with my husband too, because I'll say something, he goes, "Wait a minute, I'm only in one compartment."
Well, okay. So we've covered a lot of ground here. I love what you were saying about how 1 in 4 women, what is that? 1 in 4 women are leaving their jobs because of COVID right now.
1 in 4 are either considering downsizing their career or leaving their job due to COVID. It's a new lean-in McKinsey study that just come out. So we're really in a crisis. For the first time, 100 years, we fought for the right to have equality, access, and parity. We're still underpaid. We're still underserved. We're still underrepresented. And we're actually right now at risk of going backwards. And Sheryl Sandberg just posted something recently as well, that we need to help lift other women up and keep them in the workplace. Or if women do need to leave the workplace due to childcare or an elderly parent, we need to create a returnship, not an internship, a returnship. I'm going to write a LinkedIn article on this, a program that when somebody leaves the workplace, even a man who leaves the workplace to care for an elderly parent, although most times it's still the woman as well, or childcare or various reasons they need to leave the workplace, there's a way they can come back into the workforce at an equal or higher level. And maybe they have a 30 to 60, 90-day transition period to get back into the flow of things before they're held accountable for major projects or things, and just get them a returnship or get back into the workforce. And now you've got this incredible, valuable resource that will be loyal and work harder than ever because they've had an opportunity to come back.
Oh, I love that. Just that whole reentry, reintegration, like it's just not honored. And that's going back to that masculine, jump back in, get back in the ring. One thing that I studied, and we've talked about it on this podcast, is how women are really connected to cycles of creation. So you look at the moon and how the moon waxes and wanes at different periods of the month, and how even if a woman isn't menstruating, there's still a season where she needs to step back, recalibrate so that she can go back and do that reentry into life. But that seasonal adjustment is really tuned into our natural rhythms and cycles.
Yeah. And if you're on that go mode for too long, that's when the burnout happens. That's when you implode. That's when you lash out at somebody you didn't mean to lash out to because your patience is at its wit's end. And you later regret what you said because you said something, but you can't take it back. It's like, it's a thought bubble that came out of your mouth that you didn't think would come out, and it did. And it's hard to retreat those things. So we need that time. I go back to eat, pray, love, exercise, go garden, go walk your dog, go hug your kids, go kick a can if you're mad. Don't kick the kids, kick the can.
Exactly. And don't kick yourself, because that's typically what we do too.
Yeah, we beat up on ourselves. So no beating, no apologizing, and just go for it. I mean,
that's beautiful. So everything that you're saying, everything that I can just tell that you're an avid learner and you're just in the know of, it just seems like that you're on the cutting edge or the, research edge.
I know, but I'm a research geek
for women, and I love it. And I need to have you back on, but how can people find your book? And will you please explain your generous offer as well?
Yeah, so people can find me at my email, which is pattiegrimm@live.com, and it's PATTIEGRIMM@LIVE.com. If you email me, I will send you a free PDF guide to how to write your personal vision. That's something I'll send everybody for free. The other offer is my book is usually $18.95 on Amazon. And it's Quiet Women Never Change History. Be strong, stand up, stand out. Let's go kick some glass. But for podcast listeners, like people on your wonderful Wholeness show, you can get my book for $10. That includes $200 in free bonuses, which is some training videos and some workshops and guides, plus $200 in bonuses, and then plus free shipping and handling in the U.S. for only $10. So it's usually $18.95 on Amazon. You can get it for $10. You can either email me or you can go to www.womenkinkingglass.com/book. So www.womenkinkingglass.com/book. That will take you to a link to get the book for $10, and it'll also give you all those free bonuses.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Pattie. And I really honor your work in the world. And I can sense that you're very authentic. You're walking your talk. And it's just been delightful to have this conversation. Lots of stuff to unpack.
It's delightful chatting with you, and I love your show. So people should watch it every day.
Thank you. Just remember, quiet women never changed history. And even if you're an introvert and you feel like you have a small voice, or you don't feel like you could impact anyone because you're not standing on a platform, so to speak, recognize that it's the little things that you say, it's the quiet circles you speak up in that make all the difference. And sometimes that's just within the walls of your home. It's just coming back into claiming your own valuableness, your own visibility, and your own voice. I love how she said that we need to create a returnship, not an internship, with so many of us being displaced and, all the downsizing and all the things happening around us in the workspace. It's also happening on every other level. We need to return to who we are. It doesn't have anything to do with business or working. It's just finding your own soul voice, coming back to who you actually are, which is all about what Women Seeking Wholeness celebrates. So again, come join us in the Women Seeking Wholeness Facebook group. Ask to join there. I'll send you a freebie by doing so. Remember to pick up Pattie's book, and that website is also in the show notes, but it's womenkickinglass.com/book. Have a beautiful week. And the next time we talk, it will be episode 100.